I'll just start doing it that way from now on. It'll be easier on everybody. So I want to talk just for a few minutes about the idea of preparation. And this is something that I feel like is really important for us right now as a church, because we got to prepare for what God wants to do in the future as far as growth and as far as ministry. There's a guy by the name of Robert Schuller, and he said this: spectacular achievement is always preceded by unspectacular preparation. Robert Schuller. Spectacular achievement is always preceded by unspectacular preparation. And that is so true. I'm a planner and I am a preparer, and I feel like God has honored me for that. As leaders of the church, we do have the greatest honor and opportunity, and that is to serve God and fulfilling the Great Commission and reaching this community. And there's no greater honor than to God to call you to leadership and to call you to serve his bride, his church. And so it's humbling for me that God has chose us to do that. But there's also a sobering reality to that. Without proper preparation and planning, the greatest opportunity and honor will be wasted, right? If we don't properly plan and prepare for what God's called us to do, then we are wasting the opportunity that he has given to us. And it's been said by many people, success happens when preparation and opportunity collide. It's pretty funny. You look up that quote and 400 different people take credit for it. But regardless of who actually said it first, that is true. Success happens when preparation and opportunity collide. So God has provided us with the opportunity. It's our responsibility to prepare for the opportunity that is before us. And I believe that God is up to something here at this church. But we better be prepared for the harvest that he's wanting to bring us, because at the moment, I don't feel like we're ready. And that's not a problem. It's not a problem that we're not ready. I mean, we're just getting started in this, but there's some things that need to be put into place. When people show up, we need to be here prepared to minister to them and love them as part of the family and to welcome them into our family. And when our people in the marketplace, they need to be prepared to love people and to be spirit-led to make an impact into other people's lives. We're looking for lost people to come in here. We're not necessarily looking to, grab somebody else's flock. We're looking to bring new people into the fold. And so I want to start by reading you a passage of scripture this morning in 2 Kings chapter number 4, very familiar passage of scripture. And there's some things we're going to pull out about preparation. Chapter 4, starting verse number 1, Elisha and the widow's oil. It says, "Now the wife of one of the sons of the prophets cried to Elisha, 'Your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that your servant feared the Lord, but the creditor has come to take my 2 children to be his slaves.' And Elisha said to her, 'What shall I do for you? Tell me what you have in your house.' And she said, 'Your servant has nothing in the house except a jar of oil.' Then he said, 'Go outside and borrow the vessels from all your neighbors, empty vessels and not too few. Then go in and shut the door behind yourself and your sons and pour into the vessels. And when one is full, set it aside.' So she went from him and shut the door behind herself and her sons. And as she poured, they brought the vessels to her. When the vessels were full, she said to her son, 'Bring me another vessel.' And he said to her, 'There is not another.' Then the oil stopped flowing, and she came and told the man of God, and he said, 'Go, sell the oil and pay your debts, and you and your sons live on the rest.'" All right, so this is a really interesting story, and there's some principles of preparation I want to share with you out of this. First is this, all right? Preparation brings capacity. Preparation brings capacity. There's a principle that you can only handle what you prepare for. I mean, that's just the reality. I mean, that's why I think God gives us most of the time 1 kid at a time, because if 5 of them showed up, all as babies, we would go crazy. And those poor people that have, 4 or 5 at a time, we need to pray for them, right? But you prepare as you go, right? And you can only really handle what you prepare for. So the widow was told to go get the jars to pour the oil into. So she goes out and she borrows the jars, as many as she could find, right? And God miraculously multiplies the oil for as long as she had jars. But as soon as the jars ran out, the oil stopped flowing. And the truth is, all of us want our ministries to grow, right? We want to see an increase in this church. We want to see an increase in our ministries. It'd be awesome if there was 100 students on Wednesday night, if there was 200 kids in JFA Kids, if there was 75 teenagers, here on Wednesday morning, if there was like 18 guitar players, that would be awesome, right? 250 women at the women's conference, 450 people on Sunday. All those things sound cool. We're like, yeah, that would be awesome, right? And that would be awesome, but are we prepared for that? I mean, legitimately, exactly. Legitimately, if legitimately 450 people showed up Sunday morning, are we legitimately ready for that? No, of course not.
No.
Not even close. If 20 guitar players showed up, are you ready for that? If 200 kids were here, so the point is we want something to grow, but we all know, and by our own admissions, that we couldn't handle it today. So why would God bring it to us if we're not ready for it? I think that's something that we really have to ask ourselves. Have we prepared our messages in such a way that people can understand it? Have we prepared our volunteers to know what to do and to be ready? Have we prepared and implemented our culture into our ministry so that people can get assimilated into the church? Are our plans ready? Is the strategy ready? Those are all questions that we got to ask ourselves. And I truly believe that God won't bring that increase until you can handle it and are properly prepared for it, because people are too valuable to God. And a lot of people, they go to church and they're like, well, no one said hi to me. And I know some of that can be childish in nature, but there's a reality that we also do have to love people, make people feel welcome. And if people have a bad experience, that could be it for them. And so we have to be ready for that. Many of us have big dreams and visions, but we are going to be limited in what really happens if we don't prepare for that vision. And God will not bring us that increase so we can handle it. But here's the cool thing, though. When you prepare by the best of your own ability, then God does something supernatural and he brings an abundance. And that's really true. When the widow did all she could by her best ability, God then brought an increase that not only met her need, but also brought an abundance that her and her sons could live off of beyond what she could do in the natural. And when we're good stewards and prepare the best we can, I truly believe that God does bring an abundance to our ministry beyond what we are capable of in our own abilities. Second thing that you see out of this passage is that preparation brings clarity. Preparation brings clarity. All right. The widow, through her preparation, gained clarity to know how to receive the increase. She prepared by seeking counsel from Elisha, and she gained clarity from his advice. She gained clarity by knowing what to do as far as gathering jars. She knew how much help she needed. And when she had that clarity, then she saw the miracle happen. And one of the biggest advantages to preparation is that it brings clarity on how to execute your vision to see your dream come to pass. And that's because a lot of us, we have these big dreams. We're like, okay, how do I make this come to pass? How do I get from where I'm at now to where I want to go? And when you start to prepare, what you'll see is that you'll start seeing little steps of how to get there, right? So let's say let's just take low-hanging fruit, 450 people. All right, that sounds awesome. Okay, so that's the end goal. When we start preparing, we'll start having clarity of how do we get there? Okay, what needs to happen? Well, right now we're not doing a very good job of getting visitor cards, so we don't even know who's here and who's not here, right? We don't have a way to get them to become members of the church. And you start seeing all these things. You see the little steps that need to happen through the preparation process, and it brings clarity. So questions to ask yourself during this time is, what is the dream that God's really placed on my heart for my ministry? A lot of us, we need to be able to articulate that. What is it that God's calling us to do in this season? How can I accomplish this? What the steps are going to take from here to there? How is my ministry embodying the values and the culture of the church so that there's a cohesiveness, right? Who can I learn from that's an expert in my ministry, right? Pastor Jamie and I were talking about that the other day. We were talking about trying to bring some alignment from the kids and the adults on Sundays. So if Pastor Jamie wrote her curriculum off the same things that we're preaching on Sunday morning, then it's easier for moms and dads to talk to their kids about, the things of God, because they literally just learned it that morning, right? So those are some things that we're talking about. And I said, hey, I know a guy who does that. I don't know how they do it. They're about the only people I know in the country that do it this way, but let's get them on the phone and see if we can meet with them. Those are things that you can have because you take time to prepare. If we said, hey, Sunday, we're going to just start doing this, it's not going to be very, very good, right? Because you haven't prepared for it. All right. It's important to also understand this. When you start preparing, you can get clarity as far as the resources that you already have, right? So once you start asking these questions, you can start asking, what resources do I have? And there's really two of our greatest resources. First off, our materials that we already have here. We have a lot of resources in this church that we can leverage to make a difference. But the biggest resource that we have is our people. And when you have clarity through the preparation process, is you do a lot to keep from burning people out. That's really what happens. So preparation maximizes your resources. That's the third thing. I forgot to tell you that was number 3. Sorry, Jamie. H.
Preparation what?
Maximizes your resources. I love what Elisha asked the widow. She shared with him the need, and then he says to her, "What do you have?" And he's asking her, "What resources do you have to meet the need?" And when she says, "Just a little oil," Elisha says, "That's all that you need."
That's good.
And that's exactly what we need to hear, that God has already given us every resource we need to accomplish what he's calling us to accomplish today.
Yeah.
Now, we might not have what we need to accomplish it tomorrow, but God will bring that tomorrow. Today, we have everything we need today to do what he's called us to do. And if we're not careful, sometimes we can get a poverty mindset in ministry. We're like, well, we can't do anything because we don't have any money, or we don't have what they have, or we don't have enough people, right? And the reality is sometimes you just have to start going forward with what you have. You know, one of the greatest leadership lessons I've ever seen was last year at camp. And it was a young man, his name was Hayden Jones. And at camp, the last day last year, I don't know how it went this year, but last year was probably the worst Thursday of any camp I've ever been to. They had all these games, horribly organized. I hope nobody ever sees this the video.
Those inflatables?
No, that basically they had 6 games. Half of them were scheduled. The other half you just had to go to. And so anyways, we're standing down there and they had to run these lily pads, okay, which are those big foam pads you throw in the lake. And they had 2 of them tied together. And so you're just supposed to go and run this whenever you had a chance. So we have like an hour and a half before one of our scheduled games. So we go to the lily pads, we stand there, and these little like 6th grade girls, they're just standing there with sand and just throwing it up in the air. And kids are screaming, yelling. You're standing there in the sun, baking to run these and there's these girls in front of us that cannot do this. Like they keep falling off. So they make them start over. And every time you fall off, you got to start over. We sat there for 30 minutes. They didn't even get across. I would have just maxed out their time. So they get out of the way because all these people, but we let them keep going. So anyways, we didn't get to run the lily pads. So we had to then go to our schedule game. So I'm sitting there watching them play this game. And our boys, I think, won every game last year. And I thought, this is stupid. I was like, I'm not going to make them go stand there with little girls throwing the sand up in the air. And it's just irritating in the heat to run these lily pads if they don't want to. So I get all the boys when they're done with the game. I said, look, so you got 2 options. One, we can go run the lily pads. You guys have won every game, but our group is going to lose because everybody else is terrible. So we're like dead last. Okay. So either you can go run it just for pride, or we can go back to the room and take a shower because, we're done with this. I said, I will do whatever you want to do. You guys have to make the decision and you guys have to be unanimous on it. And I'll turn around and I'll walk off. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I just wait to see what they do. So 2 of my older guys, they were seniors. They're like, we're going to the room. And this one kid, his name's Hayden Jones. He's a quarterback for the 8th grade football team. And at this time, he's 9th grade football team. He's like, hey, so do we get points for this? I said, yeah. He said, we're going to go do this. And the seniors are like, no, we're going to the room. And he says, no, you can go rest when we get home. He said, but right now, we're going to go run this, right? And everybody else is like, okay. And so finally, they start thinking, the seniors, and one of my other seniors, he's getting mad. He's like, no, we're going to the room. And Hayden says, and all the boys are starting to move towards Hayden's side.
Yeah.
Okay, it's starting to become a pride thing. And Hayden says, look, we're going to go run this stupid thing, and you guys are with me or not. And he just turns around, he starts walking them down the road to the lily pads. And that right there was just the perfect example of leadership. Is that you have to make a decision, and then you have to turn your back to the crowd, and you have to start walking. Okay, and he started walking. He didn't even look back. And you know what happened? Every boy followed him, right? And here's the principle of all that: when you're prepared and you have a direction you want to go, and you know why you want to do it, sometimes you just have to point and say, "I'm going to go," and you have to turn your back to the crowd, and you just have to start walking. And what you don't know, sometimes people aren't going to follow you. Sometimes they will. And in this case, they did, but you can only do that when you really know what you're doing, why you're going to do it.
Yeah.
In that moment, Hayden knew what he was going to do and why he was going to do it. He knew he wasn't going to win the week, but he's doing it for his pride. And so in that moment, it was just a high level of leadership out of him. And those are things that you see out of preparation. And the reality is our greatest resource is people. And so when we are preparing as leaders of ministry, then we can maximize their time, right? They have jobs like you and I have jobs, right? And so when we're not doing our best to prepare to offer them clarity of what we're doing while we're doing it, to resource them, to give them proper communication, when we're not doing those things, then you're going to burn your volunteers out. That's just the reality of it, because it breeds frustration when people don't know what's going on. People want to be in the know. They want to know what they're doing and why they're doing it, right? And so when we're not properly communicating those things through preparation, then it's going to burn them out. So you need to really sit back and look at yourself and say, where am I doing that right? Am I doing that well? I mean, and there's ebbs and flows of that, and so when you do those type of things, you maximize the resource. So I want to wrap it up with this. Your ministry is only going to go as far as you prepare. That's just the reality. It doesn't matter how godly you are. It doesn't matter how much you pray. It doesn't matter how nice you are. It doesn't matter how big your dream is. If you're not preparing, your ministry is not going to grow. Now, you need to be doing those things. Just because
Your ministry, what?
Huh?
What was it we're writing down?
Your ministry is only going to go as far as you prepare.
Okay.
Now, you obviously need to be godly, you need to be praying, you need to be nice, those type of things. It doesn't matter how many people you have here if you're a bunch of heathens, right? I mean, so you understand that. But I want to read the first verse again, because this is so huge. Now, when the wife of one of the sons of the prophets cried out to Elisha, stop. Notice that this woman's husband, who was dead, was a godly man. Okay, depending on what translation you read, he is a prophet or he was a son of a prophet. Regardless, he was a godly man. Yet, he failed to prepare for his family. And so when he died, his sons almost went to slavery.
Mm-hmm.
The creditor was coming to get their sons because this guy did not properly prepare. And unintentionally, he almost led his family into destruction. And we don't want to do that to people. Right? We don't want to do that to our volunteers the best we can. We don't want to be burning people out the best we can. We don't want to do that to the visitors who show up. We have to be prepared so that we don't cause them big problems. Comments, questions, complaints.
Preparation. It's got to be thorough, complete, but then along with it, you got to inspire the people so they will get involved.
Yes.
Because normally in the normal church, 20 or 30% carry the load of the whole thing.
Yes.
So that's another contribution to burnout is you
Absolutely.
have to get people to buy in and get involved. And so that has to kind of go hand in hand along with the preparation. You got to inspire them. Got to motivate them to get involved.
Absolutely.
Which isn't really hard to do if the dream you have is from God and it's a passion. It's kind of easy to share your passion if you believe in
It
it.
kind of goes back to culture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If the people's culture they were raised in was you go to church and sit. So
Yeah.
that's hard to break.
That's hard
Yes.
to break, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a second. What does inspire people? I mean, it is a dream. What inspires people to want to get on board with you?
I think positivity does.
What'd you say?
Positivity inspires people to want to be a
Yes.
part of something.
The dream inspires people. Positivity inspires people. Couch is making
You
some
know-
noise. Sure it was.
People want to know that what they're doing is making a difference or it matters.
Yes.
Like, so if they're like, oh, I just have to greet again, and they don't know the why and the purpose and the
Yes.
impact it makes, and they don't see the value in it, they're not gonna be on board.
Yes. The why.
Or changing a diaper.
Yes.
They don't,
Mhm.
you're not just babysitting,
Yeah.
you're not just changing a diaper, you are
Yeah.
literally,
Yes.
being a part of caring for
Kids.
the next generation.
Yes.
You're not a babysitter.
And I think
Yeah.
example is very important,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
because if you're a sloppy leader.
Yep.
You're gonna have sloppy people behind you that are not committed.
Yep.
And so you've got to be the example. You've got to empty the trash.
Yeah.
You need to.
Yeah.
Or wipe the toilets clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever needs to be done.
Yeah.
And people have got to see you do it.
Two thoughts. I got two thoughts going through my head. So I'm going to circle back around to yours. The why, the dream, the burden, all that stuff has to properly be communicated.
Yes.
Like we have to become, as leaders, that is our burden, to be expert communicators.
Yes.
Right? I mean, you think about Jesus, and he's sitting there, and we read about him weeping over Jerusalem, right? And he's like, man, I would gather you as a hen gathers her chicks, but you wouldn't let me, right? And like those disciples are there, and they hear that in the moment. Like that stuck with them, because I think every gospel account has that in it. You know what I mean? So something about that moment when they saw him communicating his burden and his for Jerusalem stuck with them. Of all the things that he said, John said we could fill all the books in the world. Why did that make it? Because that was different. And so if we're not like experts at communicating that in a way that people understand and want to be a part of it, that's on us. That's on us. And so we got to be good at that. So and I was going to circle back around to you. Yes. Okay. So Horst Schulze. All right. He is the founder of
Say that again.
Schulze.
Horst?
Yes.
HORTZ.
ST. HORST. Schulze. Right here. I got a book. This is the book I'm going to read. This is the podcast. I was talking. Sure. Horst Schulze. It's German. Anyways, he's the founder of the Ritz-Carlton.
Yes.
And I listened to his podcast the other day, and that's that Word Wednesday. That was the guy I was talking about. Anyways, he's talking about how do you get people to work at your establishment for minimum wage and deliver the level of excellence that they do. And there's two things that he said that really stuck out to me on that. First off, he does the orientation for every single new hotel, him personally, which I guess is very uncommon for the CEO to go down and talk to the bus boys. Okay. But he's there, and he was a bus boy. He has done he said, I have done everything that they have done. He said, I have changed the linens. I have taken out the trash. I parked the cars, because he started as a bus boy as a kid, and that was the worst. That's how he got going. So he says, when I sat there, first off, he says, they know I've done it. And he says, second, he said, there's been many times I got stuck washing dishes after the orientation. And he says, you don't think that sticks with them? You're sitting there washing dishes next to the kid. He said, no, I'm not doing that all the time. He said, it's just on orientation day. He said, but I'm there with it. And he believes it. He would do that every day. He just can't do it every day. So that example is the first thing. He said the second thing that gets people inspired, and I think this is true, is he says you give them a sense of professionalism at what they do. And he says that makes people want to serve at a higher level. And so he says the reason why a lot of these restaurants have a hard time keeping good health is he says they never train them to be professionals. So they take no pride in what they do. And so when you explain the why, and then you teach them how to do something with excellence, it gives them a sense of pride and professionalism into what they're doing. And I think in the preparation process, we have to be asking ourselves that. Are we preparing people in a way that's helping them do this? Is that somebody out there? Patty's going to check. Okay.
There's a couple of other factors being, this is where we depart from the world. These are principles that work.
Yes.
But when you apply them to the church, you've got to have the spiritual principles with them. So prayer is a big one. If your church is not praying, if you're not praying about these things, you're not soliciting God's help in the
Special delivery.
Oh, look at that.
This is from all of us.
Stop
to you.
it.
We love you. Happy birthday.
You.
Happy birthday. Happy
Oh, thank you. They do smell
Isn't it
good.
gorgeous? To you. Happy birthday, dear Jamie. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's put them right here so we can all look at them.
Okay.
another one
Happy
in our,
birthday.
especially in our little section of the church,
Mhm.
the baptism of the Holy Spirit.
Mhm.
Makes sure people are baptized in the Holy Spirit,
Empowered.
they're empowered by the Spirit.
Mhm.
And then there's the element of faith.
Mm.
And you touched on that when you said, we have provision for today.
Mm-hmm.
Faith says, I don't have to have tomorrow's provision.
That's good.
I just have to start for tomorrow.
Mhm.
And God will provide, and know God will
Take
make
care of the rest.
provision. So you've got to build the faith of the
Absolutely.
people where they have faith that God will do what he said he would do.
Absolutely. And that's part of, I think, where we can get into the weeds a little bit, because you were talking about
Mhm.
prayer, is that there are the principles and they are realities, because you can't overcome them. I mean, if the man was a prophet, he was speaking for God,
Mhm.
right? So you can't overcome that. But on the other hand, is that if it's only about principles and there is no prayer and there is no faith involved in it, and the Holy Spirit isn't blessing it, then it doesn't really matter what you're doing anyways, you know, and that is a reality. That is a reality.
I don't know if this, to me, it ministered to me, what God showed me. And Ronnie and I talked about it this weekend, because I had told him, I said, I really want us to try to start up on Wednesday nights again, because we deal with such a heavy workload. Wednesday's kind of like before I was working Monday nights, Tuesday nights, Thursday nights. And so it's like, okay, Wednesday night,
Was a
sometimes I
reprieve.
work late, it's just at the office, but we're trying to get back into a normal routine. And anyway, so what led up to that was when I had gotten into church, and God spoke to me about the tithing, the 10%.
Mhm.
And what he had shared with me, and he reminds me of this often. Tithing also could be my time, because I get in this habit of saying we don't have time, we don't have time.
Yeah.
But I know that I know for my family, I know how busy everybody is.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to reemphasize is, if we'll sow this time, he'll multiply that extra time that we need. We're better stewards of it.
Mhm.
But that tends to be what I hear from a lot of people is,
I don't have the time.
yes.
Mhm.
And I don't know, because Ronnie and I struggle with that.
Yeah.
And I know other people do. And I don't, for me to be an example, I know I need to be out there, because I know how heavy a load we carry. And
Yeah.
so I'm throwing that out there, because that's something God has always spoke to me.
Mhm. My prayer is be efficient with the time. You know what I mean? When you invest that, I mean, I know there's been times when I'm like, man, I got to study today, and I do everything I can to fight for that.
Mhm.
But there's been obviously times when something's come up, and I swear, you know, like we had to go on a hospital visit or something like that. I swear in the afternoon, somehow I get twice as much done in half the time. I don't know how that works, you know? And so I don't know if it's always good to live in that realm necessarily, where you're always scrambling, but I do agree with you. The investment of, you know, there's really time, talent, treasure. Well, in Verdigris, everybody had money, so they just throw money at you. That's not a problem. But they were very stingy with their time, you know, and so what are you willing to give up? You know, it's really all of it, you know.
Well, and if you journal for a week,
You figure out where your time's going.
how much time
You're
you
still
waste.
wasting.
Yeah, you're wasting a lot of it.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So anyways, we'll wrap up with that and move on, but be thinking about that. Where do I need to prepare better, you know, so I can be ready for what God wants to do. So, all right, let's evaluate how yesterday went. What do you guys think? Good, bad, ugly of the,
My favorite part was when you shoved the kid off stage almost.
Yes.
yeah, I nearly
Yeah.
killed him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
didn't
like-
even hardly touch him. He was like,
Whose kid is that?
He is a foster kid that Rebecca and Travis had for years.
Okay.
Then
that's
he got
his.
adopted
Yes.
out, and now the adopted family attends here because the kid wants to still be here.
Awesome.
And so
that's cool.
he's one of our specialists.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was very traumatized and
Mhm.
abused severely.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But he's
Way to
just
go, Pastor.
Yeah. Flashbacks.
I thought you did, yeah.
You did. It was funny.
He
I caught him.
too. He
Yeah.
caught
about put
him.
my hand on his head during the prayer time because he takes a lot of meds. And
Yeah.
I'm like, here, buddy. Hey, let's talk to Jesus. Come on, let's pray. Dear Lord, help us.
I was just glad I caught him because I was super nervous when I hit him and I saw him he was like he thought I hit him with a bat. I was like, man, I just barely touched you.
He's one
Yeah.
on Sundays.
Yeah.
He'll just in the middle was he'll run up and go down the slide. One time Carl Sloan had to follow him and go down the slide to catch.
Yeah,
This one I
No,
put
it's
Legos in his
funny.
hand.
yeah, I thought that went.
And
I thought that went really good.
that was great.
What else went good yesterday?
I thought worship was great.
They did good.
Great. Our
Yeah,
Yeah, the
youth
kids did good.
did awesome. They stepped up and did awesome.
On Sunday mornings, and I wasn't here early, but that air's gotta be turned down to like 66.
Yeah,
But I will tell you this is not for you to go do. I know
Yeah.
how you are.
yeah, it was hot. Yeah,
I took
I felt
Ronnie,
warm. I didn't know if it was just
the
me.
filters,
We-
2 of them I can show you are that thick.
we changed
We
them
changed
yesterday
them this
or Thursday.
You didn't get the ones by the doors.
Thursday. Jamie did it Thursday.
On that note,
Well, the difference
No,
is
I mean,
people, a lot
The
of
ones
people.
by these outside doors, they're that thick with dirt. The
What-
side doors.
Which one are you talking about? And are they in the sanctuary or outside the
They're
sanctuary?
outside the
Oh,
sanctuary. They're
yeah,
this
I
thick.
didn't get those.
There's actually a cobweb hanging by one end.
Where are they at?
By the side doors, above the side doors.
Well.
'Cause
I
we were
spoke
looking,
with
like-
Tim,
Yeah,
and he has agreed to come and change your filters
awesome.
and the Kids Center filters.
Awesome.
He will come once a month.
Good.
And he's gonna log that he's maintaining them for us.
Good. We just need who orders those?
Hallelujah.
Who's gonna do that?
Tim Selleck.
Who orders those? We just gotta make sure they're always here because that's gonna be frustrating. That's that preparation thing. He's gonna be irritated if he shows up and they're not here.
You get them at Walmart.
If they're standard size.
Who
Yeah.
who used to pick them
I
up?
bought them at Walmart before. And
Normally you can get them in bulk, like those are in bulk and they're considerably cheaper if we can get them in bulk. So what is it, like filters.com or something like that? Yeah. Do you
But I
mind,
had
do you
told
mind
him-
looking into that, Amy? I'll get you the sizes. The good thing is there's only 2 sizes. So
Can I ask her one more thing?
yeah,
For you and I?
I didn't know
Can you make him
Oh,
a,
okay, go
a list or like a log to hang up, maybe in the storage closet? He wants to write down what he's changing and when, so we have a record of it that we're making scenes. And I need one for the Kids Center too, and he will log. Does that work?
yeah.
Okay.
And then show me those other 2 because we were looking, because we looked, we are like, okay, that must be it. And, but I didn't think about it. I wonder why
But
there's
I
so,
did tell him-
there's 4 in the sanctuary. and 2
yeah, those
in
are the ones
hallway.
we changed.
I
didn't know.
did
wonder
tell
why
him
they're
that I
so-
would prepare a log paper for him to, because he is a very thorough person
Mhm.
and he has to have it, he will want to log it.
Anyway, on Sundays, when we get here, we turn it down to 66 just to try to, because of the extra people.
Yeah, it got hot yesterday.
I thought it was just me being with kids.
I was stressed
Yeah.
yesterday, so I thought it was just me.
Yeah.
We used to log that. We go
Yeah, I
log it.
sweat.
You log it.
I was very.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how much.
I thought it was
you
the
could,
kids.
Put 300 people in that sanctuary.
Yeah.
Temperature of
Well, and
8 degrees.
that's the most people we've had in the sanctuary the last couple months.
Well,
I mean,
and I counted yesterday, Luke and I talked after service, once I got to about 25, I named about 25 people that were gone.
yeah, there was 211 here
Yeah,
yesterday.
we had a ton of it.
We might
Yeah.
see if those vents are open on the platform.
Okay.
In the winter, we shut them because the heat
He kills you.
boils us off there, but I don't know if they're open.
Okay.
So that might help.
Okay, we can look at that afterwards.
How did lunch go? Jake and I had to leave, so we didn't stay after service. How did it go?
It went really good.
Good.
I mean, I got stuck talking, so the time I got in there, it was basically over.
I
But
got them through the line.
what's that guy's name that I was talking to yesterday, Charity?
Ron Campbell? Ron?
Ron? That sounds right.
What'd you say?
Well, he was the one that took the trip.
Yeah.
Road.
Yeah, the horse. Yeah.
He was invited by Chet and Rhoda.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
Okay. I know you're talking- I don't know the
and they
name.
Super
weren't
nice
here
guy.
yesterday, were they?
No.
I
No.
didn't see
No, they
them.
were doing a marriage retreat or something for
And I
somebody.
didn't count them, so that's about, we're up to 27 now.
Yeah, there's a lot of people
We're
going-
not there yet.
The- I think that I've had several things I thought were good, but I think that doing that during the summer probably helps have a, excuse me, probably a boost of attendance during the middle of summer. And you got really nothing else. I mean, there's always going to be a ton of people gone, particularly during the summer.
Yes.
I mean, you know, I don't remember who I was all seeing yesterday. There was a bunch of people. I was thinking about some too that were gone, and you're always going to have that during the summer. So I think doing something like this, you
Oh
know,
my goodness, go watch it.
go get it, man. I think doing that during the summer really helped. I love the kids standing on the road. I thought that was really cool because Charity and I have been talking about that, and she's been looking at signs. And so I wonder if they'll do that all.
I texted Jen this week and I said, Jen, we gotta have the kids out, we gotta have the youth out,
Yeah.
I'll get the signs, put
Yeah.
them in the office, I need you to text the people that you
Yeah.
want to do it.
Yeah.
And let's get them out.
They did good for the most part. They were out there
And
doing
I
good.
made
I
sure I
think
didn't pick the belong, believe, become sign
Yeah.
and the other one. I
They-
picked the two that are
The- we were.
neutral.
I think we're gonna get some of those made. You can get them made
Yeah.
super cheap. I thought
Those
the
were actually expensive.
yeah.
Weren't they, Jay?
I think we can get
Those
them
were
printed for like
expensive.
$20.
From Allen Sign, okay.
No. I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't pay for them. I don't remember how
Yeah, we
much they
can
were,
get
but they
cheaper
were big.
ones.
We can even have smaller ones.
I like
Yes.
the
And I didn't like the
squares.
font they used.
Yeah, I like the square ones that
Like
we've seen
square
online.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought the foyer looked really good too. I did.
Yes,
I did like
Jamie,
that.
was
That was good. I felt like the service was really well organized and ran really well, meaning the flow was really good. Stuff like that can feel super choppy to me, and I didn't feel that yesterday. The kids were super well behaved. I was blown away.
We do
The kids
kinda do
was-
this a lot, so they're used
I think
to
they're
it.
kinda
Was
used to it.
well
They-
behaved.
They were good.
Yeah,
Oh, they were well behaved.
yeah,
They've done this, yeah, they like being in big church, I think.
yeah. They really
Also
did,
enjoyed it. They do well.
and and everybody responded to the altar really well. Of course, they would have felt guilty if they
We
didn't.
got
So
really good pictures of that.
did you?
Hallelujah.
There was a bunch of kids. It was really too crowded. I knew it was going to be crowded.
Imagine if all of
Yeah.
those 27, 30 people were.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah,
It was, and we only baptized 4.
yeah. So does anybody else have anything they really thought was good? Kids getting baptized, obviously, is awesome. I thought Matthew getting baptized was really cool. That was a last minute thing, wasn't it?
Is that all the
Yes.
water our baptistry will hold?
What's that?
Is that as high a water level as you can get in our baptistry?
No,
Just
we're
do it
just up to
shorter
the
because of the
second
kids. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I looked at all of them.
Anybody else have anything that they just loved from yesterday? Or-
I like that service. I thought it was well.
Yeah.
I thought it went really well.
Thought you did well. Thought
I'm
all-
glad you didn't keep the kids up there the whole time. That was good to get them up there for the first song and
Yeah.
start service like that. I thought it went great.
Yeah.
Great.
They look nervous.
They were nervous.
Yeah.
Which is so funny because when they're with me out there, they're crazy.
Yeah, they're different. So
Especially
Jack
those
started,
two.
Jack wouldn't even go up
Yeah.
there. He
No,
burst into
Jack
tears on the
wouldn't.
back row.
Really?
And Jake said, you will get up there. I said, you are gonna get him out of here because they're gonna start saying his name and he's gonna fall apart back here.
He was really
Yeah.
nervous.
Yeah.
He does not like to be on stage.
Yeah.
Knox
Over
usually
here.
doesn't either.
I was blown away. He was pumped to stand up there. Like that was a huge win for Knox, man.
That
yesterday.
was. I
Yeah.
was so. That was.
That's stuff he would
amazing.
never done. Man, even last year, last year at Christmas, cried. We talked him into doing it.
Really?
Yeah.
He just jumped up there.
He just jumped up
He
there
was
today.
like, I'm here. I'm
Yeah.
here. Told him he had to be amazing. What did he say when Lucas came up there? Goes, hey, I'm here, Ranger. What did he
Yes.
say?
It went great. I thought it was
Yep.
good
Ryder ran up
service.
there, he said, can I help Papa? And it's like, yes, go.
Yes.
I said, they both, when you called for the kids to come to the altar, they
Mm.
both went. I thought I was gonna have to walk them up there.
They're on their own.
No, they wanted me to walk them up there so they could watch the baptism, sorry. And I said, well, we can see it from here. He's like, you said. I was like,
Mm.
okay.
That's cool. I saw them going up there. That's cool. The only thing as far as critiques, I felt like maybe it was a little bit long. I felt like people were tired by the time I got to even
Luke said that we ended right at noon.
we did.
I thought timing went.
You did. I was flying. I was just skipping a bunch of things, just trying to
Oh,
get
you
through.
did?
Yeah, because just the look on people's faces.
I think
Because it was after. It was like 11:35 or something. Time I got up there, it was pretty late.
I think had it been cooler,
That would have helped.
yeah, but it seemed like it kind of drug out, like, and I hated because I knew you had a message to preach, but it just seemed like it was maybe 15 minutes too long.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Sometimes you just
there was just a lot to
pack in
cover.
the.
There was a lot covered.
I
Yeah,
wonder if
Yeah.
you.
it wasn't bad. I'm just saying for
Right.
evaluation, I think
It was
that
just a lot.
Maybe
It was a
don't
lot.
individually hand out the badges, maybe bring them all up there and say they've earned because you're taking back anyways. They've earned these and we're so proud of them and this is what's going on and
Don't
just
give them all.
don't give
Just
it
say
to
that.
them or individualize, maybe
Right.
kind of keep it,
Then if they're panicked over it,
then they're okay.
yes, then they're not gonna be up there a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
too
That might
much
help a
longer.
little
Yeah.
bit.
I feel.
I do like saying their name
planned.
though.
Yeah.
I do like
think
saying
we
their name.
planned To give
Yeah.
them that time to honor them. And we did
Yes.
plan for it to only be about 15 minutes to speak, 15 to 20 minutes. Isn't that what we agreed?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So that was done on purpose.
Yeah, no, I think our timing was right.
Yeah.
As far as what we had talked about.
I'm not saying time, I'm
Yeah.
saying information. There was so
Yeah.
much information to
Yeah.
process.
Mhm.
And
No.
I think that's why people got tired.
Yeah, no, I think, yes, I think that's, it feels like from where I was sitting at, it was like, man, we're doing a whole bunch.
And
And
that
so-
was way less than our service in March. We had
Yeah,
15 we baptized, plus we did badges,
Yeah.
but I only spoke
Well, the
for like
baptism-
15 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Baptism's
there wasn't
fine.
as many badges back then either.
And you might
Yeah,
lose some
we had the same
people
batches.
to get the blanks there if they don't have kids
Yeah.
up there, or they don't know the value of what they're doing. They're like, oh.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
they just, so they
Yeah.
kind of turn it off anyway, so
Yeah.
by the time preaching comes around.
yeah. And and it wasn't like it was a bad thing. That's not
No,
what I'm
not
saying.
at all.
I'm just saying, like, from my perspective, I'm like, I don't know. I don't really know if there's anything we could do different on that. It just is what it is. But it felt like it was a touch long, even though I don't think any individual part drug out.
Right.
It was just a bunch of it. I was also surprised that more people didn't stay to eat. Is that like common? Is that
No,
Well,
I think we needed to announce it
That,
at the
that's
end.
one thing. We did not push that.
Yeah, I don't think.
Needed
Yeah,
to
nobody
announce
said
Yeah.
anything.
I don't
Yeah.
think anybody mentioned it.
I know.
went
I'm
up
just
there to
sorry.
grab the mic, because we sang God's Not Dead one more time because we're having fun. And then I went to grab the mic to tell everybody, hey guys, make sure you go over. And then the sound had already shut it off. So then I just went out and yelled
Yeah.
and mingled
I
out
think,
here.
I think if we pushed that a little more, we might have got a few.
I know I mentioned it in my
And it was
message,
in the
but
bulletin, but
And also
Yeah.
people had family in town they needed
Yeah.
to get to. I had family coming into town. A lot of people, just
Yeah.
had family stuff going on.
Yeah.
For the summer.
A giant bear, oh. Oh.
How many did we have?
two, I don't know how many ate. I know we had 212, I think, in service. 101 ate.
I
Yeah.
know how many
Yeah.
we had in service.
212.
112,
212.
212, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So we
something like that.
We got almost 50%.
The one in March was 249.
Yeah.
Is how many were in there.
Yeah. So I think 212 in the summer compared to
Right.
March. I was happy
Yeah.
about that. I've been blown away by the attendance. That has really surprised me during the summer to be what it has been the last month. I mean, just
Even less.
crazy. So,
That's been-
I do think when it comes to announcements, I do think that we are going to have to let that marinate a little bit more on Sundays. So,
Here's what you want to hear what I saw that went wrong yesterday?
okay, yeah, lay it on
I
me.
saw a lot of stuff.
Okay, lay it on me.
So like I noticed, and I don't know if this matters to everybody, I mean, you can talk about it. But I noticed that like, right after we transitioned to play the movie, there was no one there to hit the lights.
Okay. So
So
who's,
I told Brad, I said, hey, I'm gonna do the welcome, we're gonna high five, then I need to hit the lights, and we need to hit the video. That's
Yeah.
our transition, that's their cue to sit down, and
Yeah.
I'll have them sit down.
Yeah.
Well, he hit the video, everybody kept talking because the lights were on,
Yeah.
and so no one was transitioning, seeing the video was a transition.
For the greeting thing?
No,
the
yes,
camp video?
right after that, and so I
People
grabbed,
didn't know what to do.
it's because the lights were supposed to go off, play the video as the transition.
Was he gonna use Jen's app to do that?
Well, and that's a problem with the lights. I mean, how,
The lights are
if you're gonna
terrible.
play a video to use as transitions, how do we handle the light scenario?
Well-
Somebody's gotta stand there and
Jen
shut the
here.
lights off?
No, they do it off the phone, off that app.
Yeah,
It's
and
just
that
ridiculous.
the app thing is super frustrating to me because
Good, yeah,
it doesn't work well. And
so I
the-
noticed that was,
the other problem is the projector. I mean, the projector's terrible.
it's
terrible.
The images looked bad.
It's just not bright enough. No, not even close. I don't know what it is, but I was reading on that yesterday because they're just expensive. I mean, that's about
Yeah.
$2,000 probably.
That's
I had
the
changeable-
cost portion of it.
That is the cost portion, and in there we
Yes.
probably need a 5,000 or 6,000 Lumen, that's probably, it's just so old. It's probably a 2000. That's just probably the best that they made when it was made, you know? So that's got to be like, of all the things that have to be replaced, that thing's going to have to be replaced
That was
Yeah.
quick.
put up in
Images that look good.
2005
Brother Sandlin put
or
that up.
7 or 8.
Yeah, so
somewhere
it's 20 years or 15 years
Yeah.
old,
Brother
roughly.
Sandlin put it up, I remember. I was
there. Yeah,
here
so that,
helping him.
it's,
Okay.
so 07, probably,
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to do that. So I think that hurt too.
Mhm.
If the image was bright enough that you could actually see it, you know, then it would be like, okay, something's going
Was
on.
there sound with it?
There was.
Started with
It was just
music.
music.
It was just music. Yeah.
And then the
And so
music
there's
went off.
usually music with meet and greet, and so
Right,
people
so there's-
didn't pay attention to look.
So maybe take a break to
So,
announce it.
all I
Yes.
know was, it was like, I shook about 3 hands, and then the lights went off and we couldn't see.
Yes.
I'm going, oh,
And
no,
then, and then I noticed, okay, this did not go as planned. So then I said, okay, everyone, please be seated.
Yeah.
That helped.
I think if
the
maybe
plan was-
whenever it's family service and you're gonna do that, you don't do shake hands. Maybe just do a greeting and then, hey, check out this video.
Well, I think that was the plan,
That
but
was
people are
the
used
plan.
and conditioned to
Yes,
going around
and
shaking
they
hands.
went
So as soon,
Everyone
I
did
knew that
it.
was gonna
I
happen.
said,
Yeah.
turn to your neighbor,
Yep.
give them a
Oh,
high five
Yep.
and a fist bump and say, we're so glad you're here today.
Okay.
Tell them to
You
shake
need
hands.
to tell them to
But
sit
they're
down.
used to.
And then sit down and shut up because I got a video.
And you know, if you'd have said, shake hands with 3 people and have a seat or something like that, I mean, specific, you know. what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes.
Oh.
I got out of, I started.
Everyone thought it was
That's what we're
really
used
great.
to,
And
yeah.
I look at Zach, I go, no, go hit the
Well,
lights.
and but here's the other thing, you gotta remember with those mics, now we sat on the back
You couldn't
row.
hear me very well. I
You-
didn't think at all.
And you've gotta almost put it right up
I
there.
needed to be
but
turned up.
To speak loud and clear and a little bit slow
I'm
because.
very loud.
I
but
was
it
gonna talk to
not
Macy
up.
about when she's leading, and I know I'm guilty of it, that we, you know, we're saying things and you can't understand it out there.
No.
Well, I was cueing the kids during worship and you couldn't hear me.
Yeah.
You couldn't hear me
Yeah.
doing that.
I feel like what we need, and because this happened to me last week with the Newly picture.
Yeah.
Is that I know I put it on there, but we don't have like a central person who's like the for lack of a better term, like the media leader, like so that they understand what's going on in service and they're making it happen. Brad could do that.
And
Yes.
Brad knows, I told him that is your job.
Yeah.
You are it.
Yeah.
Nobody should come in here, like, I've had to talk with the team. Do not run up there and tell him or try to come in there and turn things. You have to go through Brad. So
Yeah.
we give him clear direction.
Yeah.
Um, He wants details, so if it was
Absolutely.
typed out,
I already had him loaded in ProPresenter. Everything was
Yeah.
in order.
Yeah.
was
I
it
loaded ProPresenter
Yeah.
myself.
But is it typed out, like,
He wrote it out.
okay, that's why I try to put on the weekly sheet who's leading, so he knows where he's gotta put those, who to invest.
Yeah.
I don't know Brad's personality real well, but is he bold enough to tell whoever's in charge of the words what to do?
He is, but he's manning the thing, but I had to step up there and I asked JoJo, do you need me to take over? And he's like, no, I got it. And I said, you're not keeping up with the words. Because he had a dead
He
stare
was
on
zoned
his
out.
face. He
JoJo
was,
I
yes.
turned around and he was zoned out.
He might have been nervous because
He
he's
was
getting
stressing
baptized.
over getting up in front of the crowd.
Yeah. That probably was, in hindsight, that's one of those hindsight things. That was probably a mistake putting him in the sound booth because he was going to be nervous about that instead of being there for. And then he was, then he had to change so fast too.
Yeah, we
you
all
know?
had to go do a wardrobe flip
Yeah.
real quick.
So I mean, that person can be Brad, but like we need to like just empower him to do that and say, if you're in the sound booth, you're listening to him. He is here almost every week. He is the most consistent one in there.
He's not working, he's here.
Somebody has got to like take control in there and be authoritative and say, do this, do that.
Yeah.
And that's been the problem. Like last week with the Newly picture, I was like, all right, put that picture up, and everybody's like,
Oh, no.
just like blank stared, And so I was like,
Well,
okay,
they
it's
probably didn't have it loaded, because I know.
no,
they
it was in.
loaded it.
I
They
loaded it
put it in
personally. I put it
ProPresenter.
personally in there.
That's what I
Yeah.
did too.
Yeah, it was.
It was not paying attention. I know what the,
And that might have been me. I might not have communicated that to them. I thought I did, but maybe I didn't. So I'll take the fall for that. But the point is still needs somebody to say, this is your job. Just like the, like with the going live on Facebook, right? Like I scheduled that. I thought it was going to start, but it didn't. So somebody needs to know how to make it work when that stuff goes wrong. And so I told Brad when I moved here that we could sit down and we were going to spend some time together because there's a few things I was confused on as far.
He's a very
He's
thorough person.
super sharp, but he understands it. So
Yes.
like to me, that's my natural course. We just need to make sure that that's probably being communicated, and then he can talk to them. And we need to tell everybody who's going to be in there. He's the guy who knows what's going on. He knows what's going on.
Absolutely.
And then, because I was in there for practice the other day, and they're yelling at him, "Hey, do this and do that." That as a sound guy, that's just a lot to try to process at one time. You have 14 people yelling at you.
and I'm gonna remind them, the rule on the platform is that if they need something, they're to go through me. Well, and I didn't
One
realize
voice.
Lucas is calling or texting from over there. So we're trying to talk to him, and then he's on his phone and it's with Lucas, and we need everybody to channel one person.
Yeah, one voice.
But so that it's not, what it does is just cause mass
So we
confusion.
can do one.
That,
Yes.
when we were practicing, we practiced, I think, 3 times. We got 3 practices in for God's Not Dead over the last couple weeks. And one thing that I noticed that was really stressful was everyone was yelling out at Jen or
Yeah.
Brad or whoever what they needed, and I thought, oh man, that's got to be hard for him to deal
Yeah,
with.
you need
Absolutely.
You need to remind us
Yeah.
because I forgot.
But
Me,
everybody
me.
was like, Brad,
There's the
Brad,
problem right there.
Not at
All made me-
Jen,
Yeah.
and I thought, oh Lord,
It's
it
less-
stressed me out.
Well, and what it does is it wastes time. It's the biggest
It
time
really
waster.
It is.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
aggravating to me because I have a time frame, and then you have 5 or 6 people I can't hear, well, or I need this tuned up, but if
Right.
we need to get started on time.
Yep.
And.
Give him time to tweak it
Yeah.
while he's
Yes, this is what
listening.
I need your help with. When
Yeah.
he's scheduled.
Yeah.
You need to get his bottom, tell him he needs to be there at 4:45. Okay, not 5 after, not 10 after.
I thought you were telling me you need my help with Brad. I'm like,
No.
No,
What?
I need your help with your
I'm
husband.
like, I'm not doing that with Brad.
We need
I need your
you're early in that,
bottom.
because what's happening, if he comes in late, then he's stopping everything for us to get him adjusted.
Yeah,
And then what that does is that allows everybody else, well, we don't have to be here at 9, we can,
yeah.
and so we're not getting started till 15
Just
after.
text him and call him and tell him if you can't make it on time, you can't play, dude.
I have before.
Do it
I
again.
don't like that position, but
Yeah.
I will, because we've got.
Do it again.
Fun position.
Yeah.
It's not, so,
It's not.
okay.
It's not
Yeah.
fun. But we all gotta do it.
I see it. That's
Yeah.
what you wrote
We
down.
haven't
Okay.
practiced this evening, so.
I think what we probably need to try to figure out, because there's a lot of these little things that we're constantly getting thrown out, is that we probably need to find a day where we're going to have an all volunteer powwow. Okay. We'll call it, for lack of a better term, dream team meeting, whatever. And probably need to have like an overarching teaching, like here's some expectations. And then I don't know how much overlap we have. And maybe we have like a 2 or 3 rotation where each department has 30 minutes and say, hey, I want to highlight some things. Okay. And so what we could do is with say the kids, because you were telling me the other day, they're not always getting checked in. Okay. So during your powwow, you talk about check-in process. And while you're doing that with the kids' men stuff, Patty's talking to the worship team about, hey, there needs to be a channel of flow of communication. Brad's in charge in the sound booth. Whoever the worship leader is for that day is in charge on the platform. Okay. And truthfully, what would probably be easier on you in the long term is finding a musician to be the voice to the sound booth. And you worry about leading worship, and that person worries about the technical stuff.
That's a good point.
And that's really, to me,
It is a good point.
the flow of that stuff would probably be easier. And then somebody else.
Used him for that.
Yeah, somebody else to be that person. Them and Brad talk. Okay, they make it happen. You worry about leading worship. I'm gonna worry about preaching. They're gonna worry about making the rest of this stuff happen. Okay, and anyway, so let's be thinking about that, and let's find a time for that in the future. We need an all volunteer meeting.
Are you counting, are you counting my volunteers?
Everybody, if you,
Greeters?
greeters, everybody. And so I'm sure there's a bunch of overlap. I'm sure there's greeters who help out and,
Yes.
you know, so what I'm saying is we have to be prepared, to be structured, okay? And we have to be just picky on what we're gonna share, but we get them up there. We could go with an overarching, here's some, you know, expectations for every volunteer. All right, so we do that for 45 minutes and eat. And then we have a 30-minute breakout sessions. If we have to have 2 or 3 of them, so we think we can get everybody in there, then that's what we have to do. If it takes all morning on a Saturday just to get lined out, that's part of that preparation stuff. If we have to do it, we might just have to make that investment of time. And if we make it fun and we value people's time when they're here, they'll show up, you know.
Yeah.
And what we
can.
yes.
You gotta get your alcohol. There you go. It's good. Take a drink. No, right here. Take a drink.
While we're on that, can we talk about planning center? Since we
You can
have
talk about planning center.
all of the,
Team
volunteers
leaders.
as a whole, everybody needing to have that app downloaded. and
Yes.
All, departments utilizing it and putting your volunteers in their scheduling that way. I think you guys used to. Right? Your planning
Yes.
center.
And when I've had a problem, and I don't know if it's just this phone or not, but I will like it won't work, and then I have to download it again. So I just went through that, and then I thought maybe I was confusing it by using the computer in this, which
Uh-huh.
I don't think it should.
But
But
that's, yeah.
Logging in, sometimes it logs me out too, and then I have to log back in. It's kind of weird on
I've
my.
just been working with Jill Nicole on getting the creators in there. And I told her that we'll work on getting everyone scheduled and get through that. That way people don't get scheduled for 2 things at once. Because if they are scheduled, it'll pop up a flag and say
Right.
they're already being used that.
I
So-
think I've done it for 2 weeks, and so I've got to get on there and plan for the next 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
If I can, I'll try to go 6 weeks.
Yeah, we
Now,
tried to
it's-
do a month. I would just sit
At a
down and
time.
do a month at a time. That way we didn't have to worry about it for 4 weeks. Now, it took more time the one time you're sitting down to do it.
Oh,
And I did it on the computer because it was easy to
Yes.
just drag them over. But then it's just less, having to do that.
the times that it gets hard for me is if I scheduled like a month out
Mhm.
for everyone, and everyone's pretty methodical about that. And then all of a sudden, 1 or 2 people say, I can't make it. Then it changes it for everybody, and I have to.
Yeah.
1 or 2 people changes the whole
Oh, yeah.
system, and then I gotta go back in and say, hey, can you cover them for this date? Then they'll do your last Sunday, second service, you'll do
Yeah.
your.
So what I
So
would
it's,
here's what I would do on that. I think to solve that problem, I would have 1 or 2 people that volunteer in Kidsmen who are on call.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And then you have somebody who's like, hey, I'm not going to be here. Okay. Charity, will you come out and sit with the
see,
babies?
Saturday, I had asked Monica if she would take care of our toddlers for us over a month ago.
Yeah.
Planned ahead. Monica was gonna take care of the juniors and Tasha Tanner, and then I had 2 teenagers doing check-in.
Yeah.
So I had 2 out there for toddlers, and then Saturday night, Monica texted me, and one of her people got sick at Pistol Pack, so she had to go in.
She had to work.
So then I'm texting Rhonda Sloan at 9:00 at night Saturday, hey, Monica can't make it, can you help Tasha? I mean, that kind of stuff, it just happens.
Yeah.
Because I went out
But if
there,
you have-
Rhonda said that Rhonda and Carl were supposed to usher. And so Rhonda said, I need to stay with Tasha because she's by herself. And so can you get somebody?
So then we had to flip an usher.
Yeah.
But I think with what you're
That's
saying
I have
is
to
that
flip
you
it
have,
every week or
like
Yeah.
if you
Mm.
have people like on call that maybe only don't actually serve on a rotation.
Yeah.
So you just have
I
like
called all them
me
too.
and
You did?
somebody
I
that doesn't
text
help
all
in
4 of
kids
them too.
ministry normally.
That's the hard part. You
What?
can literally text 4 of your on-call people that'll say they'll be your subs, and they all say they can't come in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It happens.
Yeah.
Well, let's start
It
making a
can
list of
be-
things problems that we need to resolve,
You
and we'll
need to
just
tell
do it.
them- You need to tell them that you'll give them a raise.
There you
Oh,
go.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Oh, hold on just quick. I need to show you how to put their number and their cell phone provider in there.
Yes,
Your people, do you have their cell phone number entered and their
Usually
cell phone
volunteers
provider?
will always be.
On everybody that I have
Yeah.
on.
Okay,
People are people.
Yes,
That's,
I can do it.
It's hard enough to get them to show up when you're paying them. Yeah.
I have
Can't
parents
get people
that
to show up
want
to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all my
The little volunteering,
Yeah. Get it through the
We're
app.
just
Yeah.
working on that. We're getting it
Then I do.
Well, hopefully, God willing.
I do that too. I follow up individual deals.
Yeah, if you can show me that later, because I
Okay.
want to switch it to text.
He does.
We're-
forget.
We're digressing into long, so we're gonna wrap this up pretty quick. Move on to calendar stuff. All right. So here's what you need to know. All right. I am planning. Charity and I are going to get this hopefully by the end of the day. She doesn't know this, but I want to start doing evening meetings for a season, not for a long time, just to get everybody, because Patty can't be here all during the day, and Zach and Jen can't be here during the day, and so I will figure out how long this will be, but it'll be for a season, 4 or 6 weeks, something like that, just to get us all caught up on the same page when it comes to just some basic leadership one-on-one. So my terminology and your terminology are the same. And I know the kids are leaving for camp this week, so it will be after they get back. Okay. So Sunday night or Monday night. Zach said he would prefer Sunday night. I texted him this morning. He texted me and I asked him when I was thinking about it. And it'd just be for a season. Hopefully we get it done before school starts. We should be able to.
So you're asking what people prefer?
What do you prefer?
Sunday would work good because of the nights I work.
Okay.
That would be helpful. If
Helpful.
not, I'll
Make it work. But
I
yeah.
will figure something out.
Okay. So it'd be a real relaxed. What?
I can make Sunday work.
Be real relaxed. Jake's obviously
We-
welcome to come.
Still have once a week on a Sunday night.
So what?
What'd you say?
I say once a week on Sunday night.
Yeah.
For 4 to 6.
Yeah.
weeks.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
asking you
You're
once
asking
a
me.
week
Okay.
on
I thought
Sunday
you.
night
Week.
for
Yeah,
about
yeah,
4 to 6
yeah,
weeks.
Yeah. So because I want us all to be on the same page and we can work some of this stuff out, and then we can plan on, because like, for example, I have on here the things that I'd like to get in place, I would really, really like to talk the fall family service with everybody in the room. So everybody's on the same
Yes.
page, as a teacher did all these things, but it's hard to do. I'm recording it. I'm not sure how well that's really working. I mean, you can't even watch it at home. So
I haven't had a chance.
yeah. I know Zach and Jen's been watching them because I thought I sent them the link last week, and he texted me. He's like, man, it didn't work.
Did you get an email?
Yeah. Mhm.
I don't know that I've gotten an email.
Did you?
Email me.
I did not email you, no. You were here.
You said?
You've been here.
I know, but you said, I will email you.
They're all on YouTube.
They are.
Yeah. So if you just find me on YouTube, then you can see them all.
Oh my gosh. You drive that.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, that's how I'm recording them, because they just go straight on there.
I know you probably told me that. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it's okay. And I know it's difficult. And that's why I did the devotion first, because nobody wants to, we're going on, we're right at an hour.
Chatty Cathy.
Yeah. So that's difficult to watch people talking. So that's why I was, and I've been trying to put it in there. Hey, the devotion starts at this time. Or
I
that.
can do that at work then. While
Okay.
I'm sitting there working,
Yeah.
I can do that.
Technically, you could be watching it right now because it's live streamed. So,
Hello.
okay. Let's just plan on that then. Sunday night work for you? Okay. We'll tell you where and what time, but we're going to start
So
that.
will that start
That
on the
will-
14th?
Yes. That's the Loki's anniversary, ain't it?
We won't be
at
here.
that one.
You won't be at that one. You won't be here either. Everybody's gone that week.
I'll be in Oklahoma City.
I'm here.
You're here. Zach and Jen, I'm assuming them here. And if we can't get everybody at,
I'll have to miss the first two, the 14th and 21st. I'm out, but I'll be here. Those are the only 2 Sunday nights I'm out of town
okay.
until September, but we'll be done by then. We're going to the city on the 14th. We'll be in Kansas City on the 21st.
We'll get it figured out. But me and Cherry will talk about it, and we'll get with you guys, and we'll send that to you. Hang on, wrong thing. Is there anything I need to know about calendar-wise before we wrap this up? Anything coming up? I see
No children's church.
next week.
Yes, sir.
Are we having church on Wednesday night?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
No children's church on the 7th?
I made that call last Wednesday. Is everybody gonna be like, why are you having church Wednesday
I
night?
heard we weren't. So, no,
church.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Diana
The
texted me.
kids, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Right,
these
so I
kids.
just was gonna put, I didn't know if I needed to put something
No.
up, we're not having service, I
No.
don't know.
No, if I, as a youth pastor, I would want to. I wouldn't have wanted to
Hey,
cancel
no
that.
kids
So
church.
I'm saying let's not cancel. Because if you,
That's in a couple weeks, don't worry about it.
it's just a momentum killer, man. Especially in
Right,
the
I
summer.
agree.
I hate canceling when you don't have to. Worship night is on the 18th, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a new one, July 23rd. Miss Diana, I am going to go to Oklahoma City to meet with a guy by the name of Terry Bates. You ever heard that name, Pastor Loki? Faith Church. Terry Bates. His name, it's Faith Church
Where does he pastor?
in Oklahoma City. It's a wild story.
I know where Faith Church is.
It's on I don't remember. Anyways, he sent me a Facebook message. And their church, I think, is running about 1,200 now. He's an older gentleman. And he said, "Hey, I don't think we've ever met." He said, "But I saw you on Facebook and I saw that you and your wife just started pastoring." And he said, "No strings attached. If you ever need anything, I want to help you." And so I knew this guy. Yeah. I mean, just out of the blue. I mean, he wasn't trying to sell me anything. He wasn't asking me to come to a conference. He just said, "If you ever need anything, here." Well, I had actually been to his church one time. He did this conference. And I remember him because of how he carries himself. And he had just ran off about 300 people from his church because he preached on homosexuality. And they got mad at him and they left because he said it was a sin. And they stood up in the service and walked out the door. And he just kept going. And so I remember it. I'm like, I respected him for that. And so anyways, when he sent me that message, that's not an opportunity I want to pass up. If this guy's saying, "Hey, so I said, I would love to take you to lunch and ask you questions. I mean, this is a guy you want to learn from, you know? And so what I didn't know when I said that was what he's all done. His first church was in a real rural area like we're in. And it was so bad. The town was so bad that townspeople called it Hell's 40 Acres. That's what they called it. And he grew that church to like 400 people. Then he went to another one and grew it to like 1,200. Now he's at Faith Church. And when he got to Faith, they had just had a big church split right before he got there. And they were running 2,000 at one point, and they shrank to 300. So think about walking into that nightmare.
Yeah.
And now they're running 1,200-1,300 people.
That's a good opportunity.
Yeah, he was one of John Maxwell's trainers. So I'm like, this is kind of an interesting. Anyway, so when he said anything you ever need, I thought it was super classy message. You know, a lot of times this stuff they're trying to sell you something. I get that all the time. "Hey, I'd love to meet with you." Hey, by the way, I'm also, I do this. You pay me like $400, and this wasn't that way. So I said, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to meet this guy. So that's kind of out of nowhere, but that's the 23rd.
That's the 23rd or 18th.
No, that's July 23rd. Yeah, so I won't.
July 18th is a sisterhood
Yeah.
worship night.
So I won't be here that day, Miss Diana.
And the 9th, on the calendar, Erica wants to have her supporters.
Okay.
And her and Zach are going to grill hot dogs.
That's cool.
And she's inviting all her supporters,
That's cool.
just for a meal.
Yeah.
Just
Appreciation.
appreciation thing.
Okay.
And kind of reconnect.
That's a good idea.
In the kids center,
And,
in the kids center.
um,
Did she decide on that?
yes.
Okay. Very cool. That's in the evening.
Yes, and, y'all,
I'll be gone.
I know she.
Okay, can I have one?
And so,
Can you get me one?
I can't believe that you haven't gotten an invitation yet.
Might have. I might have missed it. I don't know. I'll look.
Email?
But I haven't gotten it today. I'm going to.
Thanks, baby.
On the 8th is my monthly meeting at
Okay.
6:30.
What is that again? I remember
Policy council
policy council.
at 6:30. But I'll be in here during the day to get set up.
Okay.
And then on the 19th, I don't know if either building's taken up, but I'd like to do a teacher training here. It's so much nicer. It's a different attitude with our staff when they're here, and they love it here.
Yeah,
So we can,
I don't have anything.
if there's a funeral or something, we have a place to go. But we
Yeah.
can use the kids center, we can fix them lunch and there's room to bounce balls.
And
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with flipping it back for Sunday service and moving all the tables back and
We-
chairs and all that. You're good
We've
with
always
that?
done that, yeah,
Okay, Patty.
Perfect.
the 19th.
The 19th.
And then I've got to
Are you eating?
Yes.
That gets us through July. Is there anything else we need to know about?
Yes.
I'm trying to get through camp.
Yes. Have you
Get through camp.
have you talked to them any this week just to make sure the bus driver knows what time to be here? Yeah.
That's on my list too. I'm waiting to hear from Doug.
There's no excuse for them not to help you with that.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, thank you, Patty. Have a good one.
Bye.
There's no excuse for them not to.
The week of the
Right.
25th.
They can get Jacob
25th of
in Sunday before you leave the next day.
The
They can
25th
get
is
him
a
in 2
Sunday.
weeks.
July.
Three
is that a
I
Sunday?
emailed her
No.
earlier this morning.
25th in July is a
Tried her
Thursday.
from her since last
It's
Tuesday.
what?
Is a Thursday.
Okay. Well, that Sunday after that.
28th.
Possibility we might be called.
20th.
They're supposed to do offering that day.
Oh, I can take care. You're going to be gone on the 14th too, I said. So let's see here. No Loki's.
Well, we might be, I'm not sure whether we'll be gone for the service or not.
Okay.
But they're going on a date that night, so they're not coming to meeting is what he's saying,
On the 28th.
on the 14th.
Is there
Oh, you will be here on the
Anniversary.
14th.
Yeah, we will be.
Oh, for service.
Be at
Oh,
church.
I thought you guys were having a romantic getaway or something.
Are you kidding me?
But then the 28th, you might be gone too. Am I understanding that right? Okay.
We won't be going.
We won't be gone for the service.
Oh, okay.
I
I'm
was
with you.
talking about the night thing.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. Okay. That gets us through that. Then, July. Yeah. And then in August, you guys are going on vacation. You are going on vacation.
I'm going.
You're gone. Yep.
My vacation is September.
Where are you going?
Me?
Vacation. Yeah.
Cruise.
That's right.
August 11th, we won't be here.
And when are you going?
You guys are going the same week,
I'm
aren't you?
gone the 1st through the 10th. So I am missing one Sunday. I'm missing August 4th. That's
Where are you guys
the
going
Sunday
on?
I'm
You're not
missing.
going to be here the 11th either, you said?
No, we'll be, I'll tell later.
I'm gone on the 11th. Okay.
Okay, when are you gonna be gone?
I'll be gone the 11th of August,
And Mimi's on vacation.
and then the
That week.
12th through the 21st of September.
September.
Okay, so you're,
So when are the Hutspiths going to be here? I'll just start writing that down.
I will be at church. I'm only missing 3 Sundays in a 3-month period.
I'm only missing 3 Sundays this month. What are you talking about?
In a 3-month period.
Okay.
Next month.
Okay.
I can't wait to go home today.
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
I love you.
Right.
All right. Let's call it a day. So my plan is when we get together for the very first all group, we're going to start having a dream session, figuring out what we're going to be doing going into the future. That's the big plan. So, because I know all these, we've thrown out just a ton of ideas on different things, but never really solidified. Yeah, we need time to solidify that. And so I might not do devotions for the next little while just so we have some more time because I'm kind of long-winded apparently on devotions. And so, yeah,
They grow.
they do, don't they? And
We
so,
gotta get the teacher dinner planned.
yes.
Lunch thing.
Yep.
Oh, gosh, that's coming up soon.
That's a good.
I have never